Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today I'd like to talk about the swing and the swing, the movement of the golf club around your wrists and how you use your wrists to create a very small swing. This swing is actually the thing which is controlling the club face especially, if not really to a greater extent the acceleration of the club through the ball. So it's absolutely essential that you not only understand it, but, and wait for it, you let it happen. A lot of you out there are blocking your wrists and stopping one of the most important swings there are. I think it was Ben Hogan that said he thought of his waggle like a tiny golf swing. He was making the swing that he wanted with his full swing, just with his wrists. He could feel how he was hinging and releasing, opening and closing the club face, and driving the hands through the ball. Really, this small swing, which is happening at the end of your arms, is being propelled around your body by the rotation of your body and the rotation of your shoulders. And therefore, sometimes it just doesn't get a mention. We talk a lot about getting the club onto plane in the backswing, but how do you think you do that? You do that by lifting, hinging and rotating your wrists so that the club gets onto plane. And as you drop the club, your wrists flex and bend and rotate back into the golf ball. And at the whole time of this, as you drive around with your legs and your shoulders, they almost get lost in the confusion which is a modern golf swing. I would definitely recommend that you start to have a look at what your wrists are doing in the golf swing and how you use them. And to some extent that means first of all training without a golf club. Just simply watching what your hands do when they're moving the golf club. Your hands are both working in almost a clockwise rotation as a right-handed player through the ball. Obviously they're at the end of your arms and moving synchronized with your arm swing, and so it's very easy to kind of lose track of exactly what they're doing, and therefore then even more difficult to know how do you practice this, how do you make your hands aware of their job in the golf swing. But if you actually look at them separate from one another, you see the lead hand here starts in a certain amount of extension through the grip and then hinges up towards the player, while at the same time rotating, and the lead wrist will straighten. Then this is more or less at the top of the swing. As the club drops, it will start to move into ulnar deviation, rotating back around to square the club head up, while still in a certain amount of flexion, and then release the flexion through the ball, increasing the club head speed. So the hand is actually moving in its own kind of small circle, up, rotating, down, around and releasing through the ball. Up, rotating, down, around, releasing through the ball. It's a similar thing with the trail hand. As you take the club back, you hinging up, you can see how the thumb's moving up and the lower arm is rotating, and then it will also hinge down and rotate back, keeping a lot of the flexion and the extension, and then going into flexion. through the ball. Again, the hand moving in this almost kind of rotational movement through the ball. Hinging up and rotating, hinging down into ulnar deviation and rotating through the ball, at the same time going into extension on the other side. This in truth is a swing in itself. This will move the club in an arc, away, up, around and through the ball. The more you go into flexion with the lead wrist, the further the club will come from behind you and the further it will allow you to rotate your body in order to move the club down a square line to the target. Take a club in the hand so you can actually see how this is happening. It's lifting and rotating and bending back and hinging down and coming up. And all this gets lost because of the rotation of the body, which makes this all look far simpler than what it actually is. Once you get a feeling for what you're doing with your hands, it's then about integrating this movement with a golf club. And really maybe integrating this waggle into your golf swing routine so that the hands are clear what they've got to do when you're hitting a golf ball. Just too quick to see, isn't it? But it's allowing them to release as you swing down. And it's about teaching them to be active as you take the club back and not being scared of the feedback that that will give you of moving the club quite quickly through the air and losing to a certain extent control of the club, at least in your feelings, as you allow the club to drop in the downswing and your hands to rotate the club back into impact. But having trained your hands in the movements that you want them to make, it means you can trust them when the ball's in the way. Obviously, there's no time to think about clockwise rotation, about flexion or extension or deviation of any kind of type, but it's about getting a general understanding of the work that your wrists and your hands do in a golf swing and letting it happen and making it an integral part of your practice so that your hands are actually working in the correct way, in the correct manner during your golf swing. As ever, if you've liked the video, please smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then please do so. Big thanks as ever to all the patrons who are supporting the site on a monthly basis. If you'd like to become a patron, I'll leave a link below as well. We'll be back very shortly with the next one. Until then, goodbye.